How many of you will be able to access 5 million rands if your parents were to pass away? We might find ourselves in a divorce, and now suddenly, the person that we've loved now becomes our biggest debtor or creditor. We might find ourselves in a major disability, or in fact pass away. And then we might also find ourselves in getting involved in some sort of court cases, either against our employees or against suppliers, or sometimes even our own customers. So as a business owner, we always have a constant cloud over our head. And one of the things that we can ultimately do is try and make sure that the things that we are working for, that we ultimately protect in the long term. Well, when inheritance has to take place, what normally would happen is that an uncle or an elder in the family will be ultimately appointed to then oversee how the division of all the family assets are done to the rest of the family members. And traditionally, the way that this has been done is that this is done in the witness of family members as well as other elders in that particular community. However, the reality is that most of the time we're living in the cities and there isn't that process to take place.
Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ntunkuluwa. And good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna jump straight into it, but I'm gonna first start with also a little housekeeping on my side. Please hold on. Please hold on. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, so sorry about that. Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
That's fine.
Okay. Let me just start from the beginning. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. And tonight I'll be covering essential legal aspects that apply to any business, whether you're in tech, retail, manufacturing, or a service industry. Legal knowledge might not seem thrilling, as Mtimkuli mentioned, sometimes very scary, but it's like a safety net giving you space of giving you peace of mind as you focus on growth and innovation. And I'm just gonna wait just there. I would like to share my screen actually with the presentation so that everybody can follow. Please let me know when my screen is sharing.
No problem. Okay, Samke, we're not seeing anything as yet.
You're not seeing anything as yet? Okay. Do you mind sharing, Tumkulu? Maybe I'm having an issue.
That's fine.
That's
fine. I was about to say I'll just share on my side and then you'll just guide me in terms of when I have to move on to the next slide. Please just confirm when you can see the screen on your side.
Yes, I can see the screen now.
All right, let me just make it a bit bigger and put it on presentation mode. Okay, there we go. Samke?
Thank you so much, Ntinkulu. I can see it. Okay, let's just jump straight into it. You can go to the next slide since we understand that today we are understanding the key legal aspects of running a business. The first slide would be establishing a legal entity. And, there are different types of structures of businesses. When starting a business, the structure you choose can impact everything from taxes to personal liability. Here's a quick rundown of some common options with examples from different industries. There's the famous private company. This structure protects your personal assets from business dates. For instance, it says, let's say you launch a small tech startup, choosing a private company setup means that if your venture doesn't succeed, your personal home or your car aren't at risk for business debts, so there isn't a joint liability in terms of the business and yourself in a personal nature. So it's not like a married and communal property. It's quite separate. The assets are separate. So usually this is the most favorable and the most common structure of business one would go into. The next one, also quite common, a joint venture. A joint venture works well for one-time partnerships. Imagine two constructive companies coming together to tackle a large infrastructure project. They might form a joint venture to pool resources together and share profits for that project without fully merging the two businesses. This is, as I mentioned, is for specific projects, and it's dissolved, when the project is complete. So I would say that's also a common and the safest route also, because let's say you register two private companies, they create a joint venture, your assets can never be attached, your personal assets can never be attached because of failure of the joint venture, The next one is a personal liability company. This structure is ideal for professionals like attorneys and doctors. It's actually quite famous with attorneys. Majority of them, you would notice that a lot of law firms at the end of them have an Inc., which means incorporation. Take a small medical practice, right? Setting up a personal liability company helps protect the business through certain liabilities related to professional malpractice, may still affect the owner directly. So what that means is that the business is a private company, but if the doctor, let's say he's a surgeon and he keeps a certain tool that he used for surgery inside a person, they can sue him and the firm together, or even him and the firm together into recouping the damages that were caused. And that is definitely going to be, there's investigations and evidence and say how much should this malpractice suit basically does the person deserve. The most also a common one would be a partnership. This setup is simple but requires trust. Why I say this is that let's take a retail business, two co-owned by two friends, where they share profits and losses, would operate as a partnership, right? This structure works if there's a solid mutual understanding between two parties on decision making and profit sharing. So this one, I would say it's a little risky because, like I mentioned before, there's a joint venture where two companies come together. The two companies come together and are still private companies and separate. But if it's partnerships, usually some partnerships do have agreements. But a joint venture, one of the requirements for entering a joint venture is to basically enter into a joint venture agreement. In a joint venture agreement, choosing a business structure is kind of like picking a roommate. It seems easy at first, but once you commit, you realize that you're sharing a lot more than you thought. So it's I would say it's very wise to sit down and say, okay, what type of business do I want to go to? Do I have those resources? What type of risk am I willing? What is my risk appetite? And how can I get help? Because there's also no reason to not going into joint ventures, / partnerships, because one would be skilled in one thing. One will be skilled in one thing and a person who's skilled in something, and coming together is definitely ideal. So those are the structures that I've mentioned. The other one I think I didn't put in here are also non-profit organizations. The reason why is because usually those are on social aspects. You want to do right by the community, you open a non-profit organization. Also governments also have those NGOs. There's a lot of complexities on those ones. There's a lot of compliance that is required. And if you want maybe more information on that one, Synth Legal at the end of the presentation, my contact details will be available. I can also assist you in if you're interested in opening one of those NPO, for an example. Okay, I'm going to jump into business taxes. Next, let's talk about taxes, everybody's favorite topic, right? Taxes can be very daunting, but a bit of knowledge goes a very, very long way. I believe that CIPC has made it quite easy for us to, when you register your business, there's also an option to you actually automatically get a SARS number. So I would say it's linked to SARS, where you get a tax income number. And also, it also offers you that banking account where they even show you different types of banks. You can, with what the plans they have in those banks. It's CIPC right now is doing the most. So definitely, when opening a business, this is one of the most important things that one needs to keep afloat, is minding your taxes, basically. Registration, as I mentioned, CIPC assists with that. But if you do not take the route of CIPC assisting with you with the SARS, you can go directly, even contact them online. But I would say, take the CIPC. It's quite easy. And registering helps you to stay on top of your taxes responsibilities and avoids penalties. Provisional tax deductions in terms of businesses. Let's say you own a service-based business, like a consulting firm. Twice a year, you submit, provisional tax returns. Once a year, depending if you also have VAT. If you're a VAT-registered company, that I think it's done every month or every 3 months. I'm just not sure about that. I'll need to read up. And just, so basically doing your taxes, doing them on time, making sure whatever you're registered with, what type of tax you have, you're on top of it. Keeping track of all the allowable expenses like office supplies, travel, or even more. Even some software can lower your tax bill, your billing, and probably MyDough. I know they offer those services. So definitely you guys being part of this group is very beneficial, because I know that they also offer that assistance in helping people with their taxes and just keeping them, keeping record of all your taxes. The bottom line is that managing taxes well can save you money and protect you from a lot of audits, depending on what industry you're in and who are you basically servicing as a business, right? I would say one industry tip I would say for small businesses is to consider hiring a part-time accountant to handle filings. It might seem like an expense, but it's a time saver that can also lower the risk of mistakes. So just having somebody on part-time, and like I mentioned, MyDough, I know they assist that. So definitely doing that is a tip that one is to keep in the back of their pocket. I'm gonna go into intellectual property / IP. IP is all about protecting what makes your business unique, right? Here's a quick guide to different types of IP as displayed on the screen and why they matter across different industries. Copyright, there's copyright, there's trademark, there's patents, and there's registered design. These are, the 4 main types of IP. And in terms of copyrights, let's say you're in a media company producing original content, right? As I mentioned there, music, ads, and so forth. Copyright protects things like videos, written content, and even website layouts from being copied by others. So if you're in those industries, if you have something that is yours, music, literature, software, I would consider you also contacting us as soon as possible to assist you with protecting your IP. A trademark, think of a company with a recognization, a label that you can't forget, right? Like a popular, like, I'm gonna give a name. I'm gonna just hope that, they won't hear this, but like Starbucks, majority of the time, like such a coffee shop, you would see on top of their logo, there's this TM, which basically stands for trademark. So they trademarked that logo. No one can copy it. Same applies to all types of businesses, small and big. If you want to protect your logo, if you want to protect anything that you create in terms of, design, I would say same thing, contact with legal. Definitely we can assist you with that. And then there's patents. Patents, if you're in manufacturing and have created new products or machinery, patent protects your invention, preventing competitors from replicating it for a period of, I think, a minimum of 20 years. Yes, it's a minimum of 20 years where you can have the patent right that no one can copy that. And patents also, just a note is that you can patent in areas. So you can patent that code in, let's say, Africa, and then the rest, let's say someone in Europe comes through for vacation and they come across this invention of yours, they can take it to Europe and try manufacture it, because the patent is not registered in Europe. I wouldn't also advise you, if you're a startup or a small business, to patent the whole global sphere. But if you do have that money and your business is venturing or has prospects to venture out globally, this is something that you need to consider patenting it global. And this goes across board to copyright and trademarks. And then the last one would be registered designs. Registered designs, imagine if you had a fashion industry, there's a lot of fashion these days, and I think you've seen a lot of luxury brands also copying smaller brands. So you can register a design if that's what you need. You have created a unique handbag. A registered design safeguards the look of your product, allowing you to stand out in a crowded market. Like the fashion industry is quite crowded, every day is emerging. So I would advise somebody to say, you know what, register your design so that no one can copy that design. And I just want to add before I move on, in terms of how long can the copyright, can the IP be registered for? Only patents have a requirement of 20 years, but but copyrights, trademarks, and registered designs are indefinite. Okay. Think of IP as your business security system. Just before we go into competition, think of IP as your business security system. Without it, it's like leaving the keys to your car on top of the roof and hoping that you would find your car. Definitely not in South Africa. Definitely not in South Africa. Maybe other countries. And then the next slide, we're gonna go into competition law. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Competition law. Fair competition laws keep markets very healthy regardless of industry. These laws ensure everyone plays by the rules. I'm going to give you just 2 examples because competition law can be quite complex in terms of, I'm sorry for the background music. I have background noise. I've got 2 young boys that are very energetic. Just give me a second, please.
Sure. I see there are some questions in the chat. I think while you attend to that, and just welcome to everyone that has just joined the conversation, where we are unpacking some, key considerations in terms of legalities for your business. There are some questions that we'll attend to towards the end. I think, Samke, you can carry on. Just as a reminder to everyone, if you do have a question, please do raise your hand, and Samke will just stop to attend to that question. But over to you, Samke.
Thank you so much. And we were still at fair competition in South Africa, right? So, there's this act that came in. A lot of people are not really familiar with competition laws, right? I had the privilege in my young era in my career to actually be very exposed to the competition commission. So I was like, I learned quite a few that helps even me being a businesswoman, because this since legal is a business, to understand how to navigate the business world, right? I'm going to give you two examples. Example of a restrictive agreement, let's say two competing grocery stores agreed to raise prices. Maybe like, the egg thing, right? That needs an investigation, but okay, we're not there. Raise prices on certain products. This is price fixing, and it's illegal. So you can't, if you have a business and you know someone, another guy who has also a grocery store, you guys can't say, oh, because we get our milk from Mkiva dairy, and we get it at this rate, me and you, because our customers love this milk. Let's fix it to this price so that they have no choice but to go to the two of us. That is definitely illegal. And also, just a note, if you ever pick it up or you ever see price fixing, feel free. Competition Commission actually has a hotline to report this, and it's 100% anonymous. I know that's scary, but it's 100% anonymous, and I'd encourage anybody to report such unfair practices. It harms consumers by limiting their options to affordable goods, as I mentioned. Like, you won't have any option if Mkiva dairy supplies to the grocery stores, and these two decide, you know what, let's make it cheap, 10 Rand. We get it for 5 Rand, let's make it 10 Rand. While everyone else sells it for 30 Rand, definitely that's not fair competition. That's the consumers are only forced to come to the two of you. That is definitely not allowed. And then the next example would be abuse of market power. So actually, I was reading up on something 2 days back, where two telecom big companies in this, specifically in the fiber space, wanted to basically, the one big company wanted to buy shares, 40% shares of the other company who has a deal for getting fiber material or equipment very cheap. And they wanted to basically buy that company, 40% of that company, so that they can, dominate the market. That is definitely unfair. That also is allowed. You're allowed to report that if you see it. That I read that outcome of that, that big company could not buy the 40% shares because it's basically abusing market power. So that's definitely not a good, fair competition laws practice. They always protect smaller players and keep innovation alive. So I would say this is something inspiring also to the emerging small businesses, that, you know what, there is an organization, there is an institution, there is law that works against big companies that dominate industries. And I've actually been part of a couple of investigations on big companies that paid hefty fines. Some of them are not even practicing anymore because of such. It's highly illegal, and I know a lot of people are reporting. That's why I'm even encouraging. Like, let's play fair. Let's play fair. Fair competition laws are like referees in a sports game. They make sure that everybody, big or small, follows the same rules. So I would say that's a nice thing for small businesses, emerging businesses, that we have an institution backing us up. And then I'm going to jump into, second last, which comes into labor laws. Ooh, labor laws. This is a pain point in a lot of businesses. And I'm also quite sensitive when it comes to labor laws, because, as people, we need to understand that a well-treated employee is your business best advocate. Following labor laws is more than just compliance. It's investing in the team that drives your success. And this is just something that is very, very important. It's not something that you keep or you just do because it's a practice exercise, or, oh no, I just think I'm going to be compliant, or, why do we need to do this? Trust me, if you invest in your employees, you will have a successful business, because business owners can't do everything, right? We need to delegate. So labor laws keep workplace fair and productive. Every business, whether it has 2 employees or 200, must comply with these regulations. I've put basically the 4 main acts that every business needs to basically comply by, and this should be like your handbooks, because your policies, if you're like medium to large companies, this you should know this by your back of your hand, because you draw up your policies and the guidelines of these acts and the amendments that come with these. There are a few of them that are also new amendments, and they're quite regular. Keep yourself on top of that. Again, I'm going to mention, since legal can also assist you in keeping afloat when it comes to your labor laws, and just, you know, for your labor force. I'm gonna just touch on just 3 of them, not all of them. I'm gonna start with the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. This act covers basic employees' rights, right? Like minimum wage, leave, overtime pay. For example, if you own a retail store and hire part-time workers, you need to follow the set working hours and leave policies, and also not forgetting the UIF, right? Even if they are part-time, they still need to be registered as part-time. So that's something that one needs to, you know, keep afloat with the assistance of Cit Legal here. Employment Equity Act. This act is about equal opportunities in business. So you're hiring a tech for a tech company, right? You need to avoid unfair discrimination. This is just an example, and offer equal pay for equal work. The reason why I'm chuckling when it comes to equal pay for equal work is that we know that it's quite, one would say it's not practical, but we should definitely work into making sure that you are as fair as possible. And then there's the National Minimum Wage Act. This was also quite important for me to put, because this is also something that is what is always changing every year. You know, there's probably a gazetted paper that comes out with the new minimum wage. So regardless of the business type you have, if you have employees, you need to comply with minimum wage laws. And I saw one big company also on the past couple of weeks that also made their minimum wage something, was it 16,000 every employee? I was like, wow. So if that company can do it, but probably because they're big, we should all try our best to, you know, just, you know, do well by our people. As I mentioned, that your employees are your best investment, trust me. These laws ensure fair treatment, which is crucial for building a motivated workforce. So labor laws is not just being about compliance, it's definitely an investment, like I've reiterated a few times. And then I'm going to go to the last point. Health and safety. Health and safety apply everywhere, from construction to office spaces. Here's why it's important and how it applies across industries. Example of safe environment in manufacturing. If you're having a manufacturing business, say you own a small little factory, doesn't have to be big, regular risks assessment and employee training are essential to prevent accidents, protect workers, and avoid costly fines. Health and safety in offices. Even if you are in a low risk environment like a tech office, you still need to provide, you know, a comfortable furniture. Like, for an example, because they're going to be sitting there with their laptops, you need to provide comfortable working spaces where it does not detrimental to their health. It'll be a nice touch, trust me. And conduct basic fire safety trainings, you know, that's very important. So basically in health and safety, I would say just make sure that you understand the business that you're in, and still that health and safety is very important in any industry. Safety isn't just about avoiding accidents. It's about showing employees that their well-being is a priority. A safe workplace reduces turnover and boosts morale. I've seen a lot of companies these days, they have they have like mini bars, they have gyms, they have sometimes they have, you know, this personal care, the nails, the facials coming in. That is definitely, you know, that is definitely something that if you have the means as a business to provide that to your employees, I would say do it, because also we can go back to the back of the tax. You can, you know, we can say, you know what, this was a community build, a team building. It can definitely be rebate. It can be rebate. Don't quote me, please. But, but definitely it's something that one should invest in doing that. One should definitely do that. And yeah, so I think I'm at the end of my presentation. We're going to jump onto the Q&A. This part was supposed to be handled by my partner, Lou. Unfortunately, she was held up. So I will now also take Q&A. We have covered all the essentials. I'd love to open it up for questions. If you have any specific scenarios or need further clarification, I'm here to help. Let's dive in.
All right, cool. I think I see a hand. So maybe before I go to the questions in the chat, I will hand over to Mpondli to ask his question. And then I think just as Samke has said, we can make this as interactive as possible. So if you do have a question, or like maybe you want her to clarify anything she's covered, any of those important aspects that she's covered, please raise your hand or type it in the chat and she'll attend to it. Mpondli, you can go ahead.
Hi, Samke.
Evening.
I just wanted to give me advice on a problem I came across today. I think it's a legal issue. I ordered a few things that I had to supply Treasury, stationery. So one of the items, they oversupplied me, the supplier, they oversupplied me. So now they're refusing to take the excess stock back. How do I deal with that?
Okay. In terms of that, there was a purchase order, right, where you said this is how the quantity I want, and this was the price. That is usually signed and agreed. Am I correct to say that, right? And
Yeah.
that would be your invoice, right? And your invoice should reflect the same in terms of the purchase order received from the department, and then you provide it to the the manufacturer, for an example, just lack of thinking better word, but the manufacturer. So when you gave them that purchase order to say this is the quantity I need, isn't that what was submitted in your invoice that you paid?
No, what they did is, let me tell you what I ordered. I said I wanted 360 individual highlighters. So instead of 360 individual highlighters, they gave me 360 packs. So which is a lot. So now they are refusing to take back the excess highlighters. So I was telling them that they should refund me because there's nothing I can do with the excess highlighters. And in my request, I said it very clearly that I want 360 individual highlighters, not 360 packs.
Okay. To me, it sounds like if you ordered what you ordered, they agreed, and they delivered the wrong product, what are their policies in terms of return and exchange or refunds? Because maybe that's also something, with us, when we buy things, we need to, before we enter into, any transaction with anybody, we need to review their exchange policies. But what I would say in advising you is that your written your invoice that they submitted to you, what your email you ordered, you need to go to them and say, this is what we spoke about. If they don't want to if they don't want to refund you, then I would say then, yeah, you need to get legal involved where they send them a letter of demand to come and collect their things. Usually people, when they see letters, while those that don't have Gmail email accounts, they get scared.
No, thank you very much.
No problem. So I'd say contact your lawyer to assist you with that if you can't do it yourself, because your lawyer would read through the policies and so forth.
Okay, no, thanks a lot.
No problem.
Thank you, Mpondli, for the question. And then there was a bit of a conversation that was happening in the chat, I think particularly in relation to the business taxes section. Samke, so Cedric was asking about, let me just read the question. I wanted to ask if after registration of a company, should I submit my SARS annual returns? And why should we submit the annual return at first? Or upon registration, as the company may not have funds or any transactions. So I don't know if maybe you can take that question.
Well, okay, so he says that when you register a company, you are required to submit SARS annual returns, but if the company is brand new, you should not. Do you mean by after 12 months, the company didn't work, but you are expected to do annual returns?
So I think Cedric is in the call. Okay. Perhaps Cedric, you can clarify or add on to the question. Cedric, you can unmute and maybe provide context. But I think that is my understanding of the question as well, Samke, to say that, yeah, that would have been the case. Yeah.
Okay, so in my understanding is that when you open a brand new company on the day, you're not expected to do any annual returns. Only in the 12 months of that company operated, you will be expected to do annual returns, SARS annual returns, and also, you know, with CIPC that there's that annual return, very linked to SARS also, right? But with the annual, is it what? It's 100 Rand. If you didn't accumulate any penalties, we do it in 12 months. And then in regards to SARS, you just say that the company didn't make any profit in that year. You also won't be expected to pay a sum unless you have an accountant that does that for you. The amount that you would pay would not necessarily mean that it's going to SARS, but mean for the service of the accountant to file your returns. If that's the question, I hope that I answered your question, Cedric.
Thank you, Samke.
Sorry, he said the last question, what is the right time to register for VAT and what is the requirement? I know that you should have an annual turnover for not less than 1 million of that year. Usually, I know you can register VAT, but advisable and the requirement is that you should have an annual turnover for not less than 1 million. And this is advisable if maybe you are in supply, you are buying a lot of products, because then a lot of companies are VAT registered, you are VAT registered, so that amount would, you know, but I would say, to be honest with you, so that you can go deep, because it's quite complex, I would say an accountant would best advise this. The person who's doing your books would best advise this in terms of what is needed. And even when they see that, you know what, this company actually in this industry, they this turnaround, your accountant should say, you know what, register for VAT, these are the advantages and these are the disadvantages. I hope I answered that question.
Thank you so much, Samke. And then we had a question from Sizega as well. You'll advise if you know, you can take this question as well. So I think this is more related to the taxes as well. So for growing SMEs that's are still filing on their own and don't have accountants yet, what booking info should they keep? What's mandatory to file each year? So for example, your IRPs, your annual returns, and the like. So yeah, that's the question.
Okay. In terms of tax, the reason why I'm going to start with the first comment on top. The reason why I didn't dwell too much into it is because I'm not an expert in tax, unfortunately, and I don't want to mislead people. But in business, I know that first of all, you would have an income tax number, right? And then while with the employees, they would have their pay as you earn tax, which you are basically paying on their behalf. You take it according to the threshold salary they're sitting, or the tax bracket they're sitting in. You would withdraw it on their behalf and pay it to SARS, and just make sure that your pay slips are covered and that is addressed there. Just wanna text translated into table setting text types, threshold. Yeah, I would say that this tax, definitely an accountant, breaking it down like this, I would advise an accountant do it more than a legal aspect, because I would just, not ramble. I'm sorry about that.
I see Tabelo's hand is up, so maybe Tabelo, do you want to add something?
Yes, thank you so much, Mti, and thank you to everyone that's asking the tax question. So what we will do is bring a tax specialist to answer all the tax questions, because I think Samke is very right. We would want you to have first-hand information on where the tax laws are. There's a lot of changes within SARS, so we'd want you to have the latest information and guidance and what you need to do. So please, we'll note all the questions. If there's any more questions around the taxes, please note them in the comment. Our team will note all of that, but we will definitely bring a tax specialist for a special session just on the taxes, because we see there's quite a lot of questions around it, but we'll definitely support you on that.
100%.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tabelo. Sam, I see your hand. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mti. My question is not based on tax. I've got a situation with my employees. So I'm in construction, and we are working like on project-based kind of environment. So sometimes I find myself that my employees, there are certain days that they didn't work, and there are certain days that they've worked. So I wanted to formulate a contract for them so that I can retain them and hold them accountable on certain things. So I just wanted to ask, what contract will you recommend for us, in this kind of situation?
Okay, I'm gonna ask. My first question is that this contract is between yourself and your employee. You are the business and your employees, right? You have an employee contract with them.
At the current moment, I don't have any contract with them, because I don't really want to find myself in the wrong side of the law, by using like the wrong contract.
Okay.
Yeah, you see. So I didn't want to engage myself in anything at the current moment. So yeah.
No, that's fine. Even if you don't have something written, you must note that what you agreed in saying the salaries, when they work, is a form of contract. But the best one, what I would advise is to always have things written, so that when there is discourse or disputes, you can take that and say, these are the agreed terms. So there are different types of employment contracts, and I think what you mentioned is that your employees are not on a full-time basis but a part-time basis, or are they
I would like to say that they are not on full-time, like they're not permanent, but they are full-time basis, so like it's my team that I always work with different projects, but they are not like permanent, whereby I will like promise them things like a pension fund, So I also want to introduce like the UAF part. I also want to introduce like the payee part, So I also want to play my part, as well. But I don't want to find myself using the wrong contract for such a situation.
Okay, so I would say for your situation, you would go into a temporary employment contract, and then it will basically what you want the terms to be. If they will need to work as and when you require them, we don't have to need to even stipulate that Monday to Friday. We can just say as and when, or let's say it's a project. Let me give an example. Let's say you're doing construction of RDPs, right? And then you have a project and you have your team that you trust to build those houses. You can, sign a temporary employment contract. Unfortunately, that a contract can't hold them sitting at home when you don't have projects. That a contract is only for specific projects, and you can revisit it when, let's say, maybe after that contract project, you have another one ongoing. You say, okay, we're transitioning to another one, we will just extend. But usually you need to know, in terms of law, you're not supposed to actually extend the temporary contract more than is it twice, and is it 2 years. So you can't just keep on extending temporary. You'd have to enter into a new contract, and depending on the circumstances of that specific project. Does that answer your question?
Yes, in a way, but yeah, like I just didn't want to have like that kind of a situation whereby they will be like, no, we've been renewing and renewing and renewing. So I just wanted something that will just run through and through, up until maybe there is a termination, or maybe somebody maybe retires or quits or whatever the situation might be.
Yeah, I would still say, yeah. You can still have a permanent employee, right? But not giving them a benefit like a pension. There are companies not necessarily against the law, right? It's an added advantage to give somebody a pension, but you're not necessarily obliged to do that. UIF, you are compelled, whether permanent or temporary or consult, like you are very much obliged to register them with UIF. So I would say you need to jump on that ASAP. But I would say that just look at the temporary, and look at maybe prolonging the contract, the temporary contract, maybe let's say 2 years.
Okay. No, thank you.
Right. Thank you so much.
Will I need a lawyer to do that?
Yes, you contact legal.
Okay.
You can contact legal. But I know that any law firm also usually, if that's the service offering, they would assist you. But I know Synth Legal, so definitely Synth Legal is the best.
Okay. Now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I think we're going to take the last question for the evening from Cedric. Cedric, you can go ahead, and then Samke, I'm going to hand over to you to give closing remarks, and then we will close off.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mti. Hello?
Yes, you can go ahead, Cedric.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mti and the team, for giving me an opportunity. Team, my name is Cedric. So, firstly, before I ask it's not a question per se, but then I wanted to add a comment because of I was on the public transport. I don't know if we've already touched that. So I wanted, before I comment, let me comment on the last speaker right now in terms of issue of UIF and part-time employees. To add on system, where Mr. You still need to declare your employees through UIF, even a temporary or a part-time employees. You still need to declare them. So I can also advise you to thoroughly jump to that, as some Kelly said that. So in terms of the edition that I wanted to comment, I don't know if you already mentioned that when registering the company, yes, it comes with income tax number, but the income tax number that it comes from CIPC is not yet activated. So an individual needs to go to SARS and register as a public officer or a representative of a company, then after doing that, he or she will be able to file the first annual return. Then that's where the income tax, it will be activated. So I don't know if he did mention that because I was in the public transport. So I just wanted to pass this message through away. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for the clarification, Cedric. You're 100% correct when you say that for you as an SME and you don't have an accountant yet, you need to register at SARS to be a public officer or to be a public officer so that you can file your annual returns. But that is not done at registration of that business, but at the first anniversary of registering the business. That's when you're expected to file your annual returns. And at that, if you are registered at SARS as your public officer, you won't charge yourself, right, for that service. So that will be 100% there won't be cost in that filing if the business didn't make any income or any profit, any income in the first year. I hope that addresses your concern, Cedric.
Yes, but the issue is that I'm also assisting people in terms of that. And then most of the time, when after they register their company with the public office, they tend to turn out as a non-compliant. And then when you check on the test compliance status, it's gonna say you need to file the return. And then you ask yourself a question, why a return? Because I didn't make any transaction as yet.
It's just compliance, just to state that I didn't make any profit. They just want you to state it, So it's like lack of better words, like an affidavit that truly what I didn't make any income. So I can't pay any annual returns. So if that is basically what is required, one should definitely go, especially for small businesses. Register yourself as a public officer. It is literally it's the best thing that you can do for yourself and your business, so that you can do your own annual returns. It will just become a little bit more complicated as when time goes and your business grows, because then you are going to get a profit and you do need to know intricacies regarding to tax. And luckily, my DOE is going to invite us to a session with a tax expert that will definitely also probably address that concern, Cedric.
Yes, no, 100%. For further clarity, I can advise people when they register, they do public officer, they submit annual return with 0 and attach affidavit as proof, and you said that I didn't do anything, then that would be perfect.
All right. Thank you so much, Cedric, for your question and the comments as well. And I think, like Samke said, and like Tabelo said earlier, we will be having a session specifically dedicated to taxes, business taxes, because we are seeing that it's quite a critical, topic, obviously, for businesses and SMEs as well. So I think, Samke, thank you so much for the session. This was quite important. And like I said at the beginning of the session, we thought that we would position this workshop at this time because it's also key things that people need to already think about for the new year as well, if they don't have certain things in place. But I'm going to hand over to you to maybe just give a brief I guess, just some closing remarks, brief closing remarks from your side. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for your time and attention tonight. I hope you're leaving with a better understanding of these core legal concepts and how they safeguard and strengthen your business. Now, navigating the legal side of business can be complex, and that's where Cint Legal comes in, like I've mentioned a couple of times in this presentation. We're here to make sure you're not just legally compliant, but also strategically protected, from choosing the right business structures to managing your intellectual property taxes and employee relations. Our team at Cint Legal has the expertise to support support you every step of the way. Imagine having a partner who's there to guide you through legal maze, saving you time and helping you avoid costly mistakes. That's what we offer at Synth Legal. Whether you just are starting out of a startup or looking to scale, we tailor our services to meet your unique needs. If you're ready to simplify the legal side of your business and focus on what you do best, let's talk. My partner and I would be happy to answer questions about how we can support your goals and ensure your business has a solid legal foundation. Thank you again, and we look forward to partnering with you. Contact us on the information on the screen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Samke. And thank you to everyone for taking the time to spend the evening with us. We really do appreciate it. Samke, on behalf of the entire, Mido team, to yourself and Rusani, thank you so much for agreeing to run the session. And we look forward to working with you guys in the future as well. As you've seen, this is a topic that's quite critical, and we may need to bring you in for, another session relating to legal matters. Otherwise, from myself and the rest of the Mido team, we'd like to wish everyone a lovely evening and an amazing weekend ahead. We'll be back in the next 2 weeks with another workshop to close off the year. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Stay blessed.